Okay, if I can have all of the new council members and the new mayor come up here and stand in this area, I'll administer the oath. Okay, if you all will repeat after me. I,
Bill Stroller,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support,
that I will support,
obey, and defend
obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Oklahoma,
and the Constitution of the State of Oklahoma,
that I will not
that I will not
knowingly receive,
knowingly receive,
directly or indirectly,
directly or indirectly,
any money
any money
or other thing of value
or other thing of value
for the performance
for the performance
or non-performance
or non-performance
of any act or duty
of any act or duty
pertaining to my office,
pertaining to my office,
other than
other than
the compensation
the compensation
allowed by law.
allowed by law.
I further swear
I further swear
that I will faithfully
that I will faithfully
discharge my duties
discharge my duties
as city council members and or mayor
City Council or mayors,
to the best of my ability.
best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I'd like to welcome you to the regular meeting of the Perry Carnegie Library Board. Today's date is April 15th, 2019. Ms. Dixie, if you call order, please.
Bond.
Here.
Seabolt. Here. Ahern.
Here.
White.
Here.
Morrell.
Here.
Wines. Here. Stroller.
Here.
I do declare a quorum. With your permission, I will provide the invocation tonight, so if everybody would pray with me. Father, we come to you tonight with great excitement and hope for all of our new council members and our new mayor. May tonight establish the foundation to build an effective team of people to move our community forward in a positive way. Help all of us to be more effective listeners inside these walls, but also with the members of this community that we serve and represent. Help us to be better communicators by speaking respectfully and openly and disagreeing with an open heart and mind. But at the end of the day, most importantly, may our actions and words bring glory and honor to you. Amen. Our first item tonight is the consent agenda. You'll see that there are items A through E. You can approve those as a group, or if we need to pull any of them out, we can do that as well.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, is there a second? Second. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Okay, roll call, Dixie.
Bond.
Yes.
Seabolt. Yes. Ahern.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Morrell.
Yes.
Wines. Yes. Stroller.
Yes.
We'll move down to item number 4, comments from those assembled. Are there any comments from the people here today in regard to the library board? We'll move on to item 5, the presentation of the oral quarterly report on library usage and statistics on Perry Carnegie Library by Pam Rigg, head librarian. Good evening, Pam. How are you?
The Progress Club Coffee was held on April 10th at the library. The volunteers of the Progress Club are an incredible group of ladies who make the event look effortless. The turnout is always wonderful. The guest speaker this year was Alton Carter, and he spoke directly to our hearts. We would also like to thank those who made such generous donations. Recently, the donated funds have purchased flooring for the director's office, 2 Tiffany-style lamps, a 500 MBS firewall, and paid to have the interior painted upstairs. Dixie has said that every department needs a Progress Club. The summer reading program will kick off the day after school is out. Savannah Riley is doing an outstanding job and is planning many in-house programs and also some with special presenters. There will also be a reading incentive program that will begin May 17th, the day after school is dismissed. Nancy Trainer is presenting a fun craft at the Senior Citizen Center the first Wednesday of the month. Theater Thursday is still going well. Bobby K. Taylor has one more class to complete library certification through the state of Oklahoma, Department of Libraries. Bobby is an outstanding employee, and we are so happy she is there to provide excellent customer service. We still have ebooks available through Overdrive. You do need a current library card. Call the library if you have questions. Last month, we checked out 600 ebooks.
Very good. Any questions of Pam or anything? Thank you, Pam. We'll move on to item number 6. Any new business? Is there any new business for the board tonight? We'll move to item 7. We have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please, Dixie.
Bond.
Yes.
Seabolt. Yes. Ahern.
Yes.
White.
Here.
Morrell.
Yes.
Wines. Yes. Stroller.
Yes. Okay, I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Perry Municipal Authority for April 15th. It is 6:20. Roll call, please.
Bond.
Here.
Seabolt. Here. Ahern.
Here.
White.
Here.
Morrell.
Here.
Wines. Here. Stroller.
Here. I do declare a quorum. Item number 1 is the consent agenda. We have one item. It's the minutes from last meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Bond.
Yes.
Seabolt. Yes. Ahern.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Morrell.
Yes.
Wines. Yes. Stroller.
Yes. Okay, we'll skip down to item number 4, comments from those assembled. Anyone here tonight have anything they want to say or ask about the agenda of the Perry Municipal Authority? Seeing none, we will move on to item number 6, review water purchase contract with Noble County Rural. Huh?
Oh, comments and then questions. I didn't hear you say both of them.
Oh, I apologize. Proclamation, accommodations, reports, and inquiries by the governing body, number 5. Is anyone on the council? What? Oh.
Yes,
Well,
that's why
I'm-
I noticed it, because I wanted to talk.
Dixie wants to talk. Hey, I'm in charge. Okay, you can talk.
You think you're in charge.
Go ahead, she has some news for us.
Yes, I am excited with this news. As I think most of you know, I am on the OMPA Board of Directors, and we had a meeting last week, and there had been some discussion between the OMPA Board and some members from Perry, and to honor Earl Hicks, the OMPA Board passed a resolution last week to name the Perry substation the Earl Dean Hicks Substation. So we thought that was a great honor. We were very pleased to announce that, and from here on out, the substation will be called the Earl Dean Hicks Substation. There's a really nice resolution, and whenever we get the Gloria will be running it in the paper, and it lists a lot of his accomplishments, and we are very excited.
That's awesome, yeah.
Great.
Okay, now I'm gonna ask, and this is scary to do this, but Bryce, would you let them know why we should call that the Earl Hicks substation?
Yeah, it's in the,
You wanna read it?
it's in the resolution. Well, the pertinent part is that early in his tenure with the city, Earl recognized the great savings that could be realized if the city changed the wholesale power supplier, and his recommendation and direction led the city to OMPA multi-year agreements permitting the city to purchase wholesale power at deep discounts and direct those savings into the rebuilding of Perry's intra-city electric distribution system, the purchase of vehicles and equipment, and the creation of the Electric Capital Fund, which continues to serve the electric needs of the city. And the improvements, capital additions, and monies obtained thereby were realized without any cost, additional cost, to the city residents, businesses, or industry. And when the original agreements finally ended and led to this city, by and through the Perry Municipal Authority, to become a full member in OMPA, and to hold a seat on the board of directors of OMPA. And also in January 30th, 2002, when a huge ice storm struck this part of the country and crippled our electric distribution system, Earl coordinated the storm debris and electric line contractors to not only get Perry back online, but to get full reimbursement of all out-of-pocket expenses and costs from FEMA. So he was Mr. Electric, you know, and had been doing it for, 30 years ago, and through that, we were just lucky to get him back in the twilight of his life, and none of us knew that, but to get him back, and those of you that served with him know what value he really was.
As a subject would come up, he's like, let me tell you how that came about 30 years ago. So it was great. All right, thank you, Bryce. Anyone else have any proclamations, accommodations, reports, inquiries that they need to make? All right, seeing none, we will move on to item 6. Review water purchase contract with Noble County Rural Water District Number 1.
This is mine. This contract expired under its own terms back in January 2017, and we never increased the water rate during the time. Some of them, of these two, one of them uses water, one of them doesn't use water, and neither of them use it very much. But when they need it, they use it. Their rate was lower than what residences were paying because we upped theirs and didn't up the rural contract. So it's time to get them on a new contract, and one where they pay at least what our residents pay. You know that for rural water, if you're located outside the corporate limits, you actually pay double the amount of the water rates. Ask Dixie, she knows. But this contract, which it's long term, and they have to place a fee on theirs to, for them to operate too, and so we're offering it to them at what residential residents pay at that same rate. One of the advantages are they are one customer, and so they take it from there, and we're not liable for their lines and in everything that they have. So we feel that that's a reasonable rate. So On both of these, we sent it to them with plenty of time. None of them are here today. You know, pretty much these rural water groups just meet one time a month. But, you know, we had it on the last time and we put it back on. I think it's time to approve it and send it to them for their approval. If you wanted to, you could put it off and you could wait to see if they send it and send it to us, but you have? Are they gonna approve it?
Well, Brent Bowley called me this morning. They haven't had a meeting yet. They received this 2 weeks ago, right at the time we had our last meeting. Their meeting is actually not until next week.
Okay.
He doesn't see a problem, and it's pretty straightforward. It's not that much change from the previous contract, just changing the fee. And he doesn't see an issue, but they just haven't met yet. They'll be meeting next week, so he anticipates approval.
You know, what I always like to do with contracts is I like to be the last one to sign. I mean, I like to bring contracts to you where they're ready to go, so that, you know, if we sign it here and there's a problem, I don't have to come back to you and say, you know, they didn't agree to it. So if you want to, on both of these, you can continue it until such time as they approve it, so you're the final, you know, the final signature on it. It's just time to get these changed. Or, you know, you can sign it now and say these are the new terms. But we have tried, you know, to get it to them, give them opportunity to look at this, and they of course should be charged at least what the residents in town are charged. So.
When did we send it to them?
I sent it to him right before, when we were preparing our last agenda. I sent it to him.
It was the week before. It was
Yeah,
the week
the end of the week
before.
before.
So
That's
3
actually
weeks ago.
Rural Water 2 received theirs, and they made it the same night as our meeting. And they received it too late to make their agenda, so they brought it up in their new business, but they couldn't make a decision. They had to hold it over to make the vote because it wasn't on for their open records purposes. So they're in the same boat. They've received it, but haven't been able to vote.
Well, I would like to see us hold that over to the point that they sign the contract. That way we'll know if we need to make some adjustments or
Okay.
Motion to table.
make a motion. Yeah.
Make a motion, we table it until we receive signature of District 1.
And let me point out a point of order, because I've actually done some research into tabling motions. In the future, when we table, you don't just table a motion. You do exactly what you did. You table a motion until something, okay? Because if not, motion to table is really just to consider it later. And actually, under Robert's rules, to consider it a later time in the meeting. So if you're gonna table something, table it with a time when you can bring it back. And I think you did that after they have
sign it.
considered it, sign it, bring it back to us. So that is good. Let's not just table anymore. Table with a condition.
With an action.
Yeah, with an action at the end, so we know what to do with it. Anyway, just a point of order. I just want to make sure that we do that in the future.
Second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Bond.
Yes.
Seabolt.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Wines.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes. Item number 7, approval of water purchase contract with Noble County Rural Water District Number 2.
Motion.
Go ahead, no, go ahead.
Motion to table the contract until Rural Water District 2 has signed the agreement.
Thank you.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Bond.
Yes.
Seabolt.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Wines.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes. Item number 8, new business. Is there any new business needs to come before the authority this evening? Seeing none, item number 9,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
roll call, please.
Bond.
Yes.
Seabolt.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Wines. Yes. Stroller.
Yes. All right, I'd like to call to order, you ready? Call to order the regular meeting of the City Council of Perry for April 15th, 2009. It is 6:31. Roll call, please.
Bond.
Here.
Seabolt. Here. Ahern.
Here.
White.
Here.
Moore.
Here.
Wines.
Here.
Stroller.
Here. I do declare a quorum. Item number 1 is the consent agenda. There's items A through F. What would you like to do with those items?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Bond.
Yes.
Seabolt.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Morrow.
Yes.
Wines. Yes. Stroller.
Yes. Item number 4, comments from those assembled. Anyone here tonight got anything they want to say about the agenda items for city council? Ma'am, would you please come to the podium and state your name?
Okay. Well, I am Noelle Black. I'm the CEO president of the Perry Chamber of Commerce. So first of all, congratulations to our new mayor, Bill Stroller, and new council members. Welcome aboard. As many of you know, our Chamber of Commerce coordinate the 2 largest events in our county. So we do Cherokee Strip Celebration and also Springfest. So Springfest is coming up on Saturday, April 27th. We will have Hops Car, Truck, and Motorcycle Show. That show is being coordinated with Ronnie Wilson. He helps us quite a bit get our car clubs in. Last year we had over 125 cars registered, which was pretty big for Perry. As some of you may know, Perry has a lot of events that weekend. I believe there's softball tournaments, baseball tournaments. The Cherokee Strip Rodeo Club is doing a ranch rodeo that night, and then of course our car show will be during the day. So we had our security meeting for that event was on April 10th. We met with our city leaders and just went over everything for that day of events. And new this year, all of our vendors are normally in the courthouse lawn. But that event has become very detached with our car show, and so our vendors don't get a lot of foot traffic. So this year we're trying something new, and our vendors will now be street vendors off of Cedar Street. So we will move our food trucks and our vendors on Cedar, so that way the traffic can flow a little bit better and they can be part of the event. And so over the last few years, that's something that they have expressed, and with our electricity situation, we've always had them on 7th Street. And so most of our vendors will have to be self-contained, and then they will set up in the street. So we're hoping that'll be something that will be really good for this year. We're trying it and we'll see how it goes. But I encourage everybody to attend and come out to that day and see all of the cars, trucks, and motorcycles that do come into Perry. And hopefully we have great weather for that. So anyways, welcome everybody, and hopefully we'll see you for Springfest.
Well, are they going to close Cedar then?
Yes, yes. So Cedar and Cedar from City Hall to Chemnitz, and then 6th is closed from Chemnitz to Exchange Bank.
Okay.
And so we normally have 6th closed. We allow Cedar open, but we have 7th closed. So we're just switching those 2 streets. So that way we can allow the vendors, and they'll still have, they can go through the drive through City Hall.
Yeah.
So
cool.
We're hoping that flows just a little bit better, and that our vendors get a little bit more traffic. Our food vendors don't get a lot of our car show participants. A lot of them don't leave their vehicles. So that was just something that they had expressed to us for years, is to be closer to the event. So we're trying it this year. We'll see how it goes. But just looking at the map, that was really where we felt the best place for them to set up was, because our cars come in on 6th to enter into the courthouse lawn.
Sounds great.
Yes. Anything else? All right.
Any other comments? All right. Seeing none, we'll move to item number 5. Proclamations, commendations, reports, and inquiries by the governing body. Does anyone have anything to say or inquire about the council meeting this evening? All right, seeing none, we'll move to item number 6, city manager's report and update. Larry?
Thank you, Your Honor.
Honor?
Yeah,
Man.
I thought I'd start off good here. To get you pumped up.
Yeah.
Again, I want to thank Perry Project for providing the reception beverages tonight. It was very kind to them. AMI continues to ramp up. Last time we were here, we talked about the fact that they were having some issues with getting equipment. They would get equipment here, but they wouldn't have anybody skilled to run it. Didn't quite have all the staff, and now we've, kudos to our city staff, really been on them to get ramped up as fast as possible. Right now, we have probably 300 meters that have already been changed. These are water meters. We're doing water meters first. That would probably take us until mid-June, and then we do electric meters after that. So it's finally starting to feel like it's a working project, so staff feels good about it. Just to talk a little bit more about our staff, we have a weekly meeting with the contractor, and they told us last Friday at our weekly meeting that they had learned a lot about how we had done things, and that they were going to use that in future projects. In other words, Vernon Robbins and Will Sheets. Vernon is our water sewer superintendent, and Will Sheets is our inspector for water. They have been going ahead and marking with blue paint.
I've seen that blue paint.
That's the blue paint to direct them. We have a lot of questions about that. So what's the blue paint doing on my sidewalk? But it directs them to those folks that have never been in Perry to know exactly where our water meters are. So they've been doing that ahead of time. So that's one of the things that these guys at UTS have said, we're going to suggest that to the next folks that we do that. So you probably noticed today that the sidewalk to the north side of the lodge has been torn up pretty good. They started this morning, and they got after it, really did. So that project is being replaced, paid for by the Malzahn family. So that's not the city expense. We were involved in engineering to make certain that it interfaces good, and the transition between the sidewalk and our road there on Delaware is as problematic, as least problematic as possible. It's not an exact fit, but it's probably going to be the best that we can get right now. So, are a little troubled about the work, about the street contractor. Last year we had 3 projects that we did not complete because of weather, because of utility locates. They were either too high, or we just didn't feel that we could go in and be concerned about taking out a gas line or something. So we pulled back, hoping that would be taken care of this year. The locates have been lowered, so the utilities are good. Our problem now that we're finding with our contractor is that their concrete contractor is not doing business with them anymore. We haven't found out why yet, but that's a little troublesome. So just want to give you a heads up there, and we'll see how it goes. Probably the next, before we meet again, we should have a better idea of what's going on. So cross our fingers and hope for the best. Any questions or anything? City manager, messenger, or for me? Thank you, Your Honor.
You're very welcome, sir. All right, I guess we'll move on to number 7.
Well, so
Whoa.
He has to call you first.
Chief Financial Officer may make his report now.
I thought you were going to give me a halfway introduction on it.
You told me to pick on Bryce tonight.
I know. I figured you were passing it on to me. Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate that. Couple of things. Public service announcement starting out. Today is April 15th. At a minimum, file an extension today for your taxes.
It's kind of late to start that, isn't it?
Not to file an extension. It's 2 pieces of paper. One with the Fed, one with the state of Oklahoma. At least do that. That's
By midnight.
by
If
midnight.
you go down and knock on your CPA's door right now.
Do
they're
not
gonna
knock on your
open it.
CPA's door. Nobody wants to hear from you anymore. We're all tired of taxes and we want them out. But it is, make sure you file, at least extensions if you haven't already filed your tax return. So see, we're serving the good of the public with that. Now, on to more important things. Financials of the city. For those of you new with us, and usually it's marked in 6, but it got stuck, I think, behind 7, got stuck behind maybe a few more pages. Month in and month out, you'll get 3 pieces of financial from us. We usually send out the cash activity because under a budget basis accounting, everything runs through the income statement, budget versus actual, except for the cash. So you can see our cash up and down, and then you get a budget versus actual on the city side, and you'll get a budget versus actual on the PMA side. And so usually that's what I hit. Usually try to hit just the highlights of what are on these numbers. Tell you if there's something significant that's happened or something that we need to know within a department or with something that is going on. So usually we don't address cash. I mean, you guys can look at this. I don't need to read you the numbers. You can see kind of where our cash balance is set. These cash balances are broken out between unrestricted cash, which means we can spend it for anything, and then those that are restricted for specific purposes. And everything kind of has, that's listed there, the purpose of it is listed beside it. So you can kind of see those and see what we do. Related to the general fund, budget versus actual, a couple of things that I want to note for you guys. The first one is a little bit of an item of concern, especially coming into budget time. Something that we need to at least, Larry and I have talked, we're at least considering it on our revenue projections for next year, but we have the lowest sales tax collection that we've had since Walmart left for the month of April. You know, I told you last month we were down even further this month. Our April deposit was only $117,000. We've averaged in the 130s, we've been as high as the 160s. For those sales tax deposits. So as you can see, we're significantly off in our sales tax collection. Went through the confidential report, went through the SIC code report. It was not one industry or one customer or one vendor in particular. It was pretty much across the board. So we are down a little bit there. Again, it's one of those things we'll continue to watch for the year. Guys, you know, I mean, we're only down 1% off of what we collected last year. So we had some high months this year already. We're not setting horrible. And those of you that were on council know that whenever we set the budget with a big contingency in it anyhow. Matter of fact, this year we had budgeted a 15% decrease overall. We're down 1%, but we had budgeted 15% down just to be conservative because we really didn't know going into this year what was going to happen with the lack of Walmart, with, you know, some other things going on in the community. So that is, we're still within budget. Matter of fact, if you look at the very top line of this budget versus actual, you know, we're at 83% of budget so far. Based on being 9 months into the year, we would expect that number to be about 75%. So we're well ahead of the game as far as overall collections for the year. It's just whenever we start seeing these trends, that's whenever we really start getting a little more concerned. This trend is not only in Perry, I will tell you that. This trend is happening in a multitude of communities that we have. Pretty much if you're not on the Highway 81 corridor from Chickasha through Cherokee, give or take, you're probably experiencing decreases in sales tax right now. I can't tell you how many times this month I've given this same discussion, but it is something overall, some downturn. Something that we're going to continue to watch, and we'll talk about it more at budget time and talk about it more as May comes and as June comes. Because as for those of you that are new at the council, I mentioned it a little bit earlier in the session, but if you look down these numbers and you kind of look at what's here, you'll see that sales taxes are budget-wise is our largest revenue, you know, that's coming into the general fund to fund operations. So we are worried about it. We like to watch that number and see exactly what's happening. Couple of other things to note. As far as departmental expenses go, pretty much all of our departments are within budget. You know, we did budget amendments back in February, and whenever we did those, you know, we kind of normalized what was happening in the year and those kind of things. So we're looking pretty good there. The hotel motel tax receipts for the month are at $12,600. That's another number that I like to kind of point out to the council. It is significant to us in that we have a debt that those sales tax collections are pledged against. And so we've always watched that number. Our sales tax, our hotel motel tax debt payment is right at $18,000. So in the months that we have a shortfall here, we have to dip into our prior reserves of hotel motel tax to cover that. But month in and month out, we want an $18,000 number out of our hotel motel tax. If we don't get that, again, I mean reserves that we've set aside in that piece. One other thing that I want to address, well, here, let me go ahead. On the utility side, everything is really in order. As you'll see, our electric revenues, guys, these are those last couple of months that our electric revenues are going to dip down. We will see the warm is coming, which means that people will be running their air conditioners and all of those good things will start going in. Our electric cells will go up from here. Being at 73% on electric cells is not bothersome, nor water, because people are just now planting gardens and starting to get out and water. We have high numbers, seasonality, we have high numbers in July and August and September, and then we trail off until we get back to March, April, and May, and June, and then we'll see those numbers pick back up. So these numbers, whenever you don't see 75% on our electric revenues and those kind of things, I'm not worried about those as they are. We call that a seasonality of just how the year progresses and the revenue numbers that we experience. So things are looking good there. The one thing that I do want to mention that's, any questions on this before I go on to the other piece? The one thing that I do want to mention, and at least talk about, Bryce and I this morning had a meeting with Stillwater Medical. And as you guys know, the 1 year anniversary with Stillwater was April 1st. And the situation kind of runs that whenever they took over operations, there was still about $1.8 million of expenses to be paid out of the hospital trust. The hospital, Stillwater Medical paid those dollars off for us, and then they took all the AR and we're collecting those over the year. Right now, our agreement is that if there's any shortfall, the hospital will pay it, and if the hospital doesn't have any money to pay it, they will come to the city for that payment. Right now, the hospital has exhausted all of their funds. Again, they paid all the bills with them whenever they had it. And their collections right now are a shortfall of about $407,000. So on our next meeting, whenever we get for May, we will have an agenda item for you as the council to approve paying that $407,000. We've talked about that. I've kind of given you guys small updates over the year as that progressed, but it's now time for us to write the check. And so it's going to be about, well, 407 something is what the number is. Matter of fact, we were working with Courtney and working with Alan on getting that exact number. But if we intend to continue having a hospital in Perry, we will have to write that check. I think based on the vote that we had from the citizens, I mean, whenever we get an overwhelming approval like we did of the sales tax, I think the citizens are saying, keep that hospital here. The way that we keep that hospital here is to have to write this check. So that money will come out of our general fund reserves. We do have that commitment, and I think we need to pay it whenever it comes up. But you guys can at least start thinking in your mind and talking to yourself. If you have questions about how that arose or what we're going to do with that, please ask. I'll be happy to discuss it. No, I'm not going to answer your question. Yes, Shelley?
Please.
Yes, ma'am.
So we go ahead and say we go ahead and pay for that $4 million, sorry, 400,000.
Yes.
Sorry, keep upping the number. I know. I just wanted to see.
I don't have $4 million.
Reaction.
Your husband last week had a heart attack because they told me in the hospital board meeting.
At least he was at a hospital when he had that heart attack.
250,000. He had a heart attack. So you need to go
Yeah.
home and tell him it's 407 now.
Yeah, right. So you pay that. They continue to collect. They receive collections from the unpaid amount. Where does that go?
That money will stay in the hospital trust, and the hospital trust can repay us the money that we're effectively going to send it to the hospital trust as a loan.
Okay.
And then the hospital trust, from any future collections that they have out of that, can repay us that money that they collect.
But the reality is, they're down to they're not gonna collect.
All of these,
I mean, they've been
anything
through-
that's out there is at least a year old
Yeah.
at this point. Because we ceased operations on April 1st. We ceased billing on April 1st. So, these are all year outs. There are some that are probably going to trickle in, but as of this point in our meeting with Stillwater, they're like, here, we will get you the invoice, but here's the number it's
Okay.
going to be. Please
So-
get us paid.
That unpaid money will stay in Perry.
We'll stay in Perry, yes. Yes, no, it will come back
Well,
to
I wanted
us.
to clarify.
Yeah.
Thank you for answering my question.
No problem. The thing to remember in this, and the one thing that I do want to point out is Stillwater effectively gave us a $1.8 million loan, interest-free, for the last year. So You know, whenever you talk about the dollars that they've invested and the commitment that they've had to help keep this hospital open, you know, I feel like they've been a great partner. Matter of fact, I've never had any trouble in working with them. For those of you that were on the council, effectively what happened was about December the 15th last year, effectively the hospital turned over all of that to us. Matter of fact, I became responsible for all of the payments that were going out of the checking account, and we ran that from effectively December 15th through March 31st to make sure that employees got paid, make sure local vendors got taken care of, make sure that the important things were taken care of during that time, because the hospital had run out of cash. And the cash flow was so declined at that point that we had to do something, and that's when the city stepped in. So really, I mean, we've been watching this and playing with these numbers with Courtney at the time, and now with Alan involved and everybody else from Stillwater Medical, for going on 15 months now.
Any other questions for Russ? I do want to say that, you know, Stillwater lost quite a bit of money this last year over here trying to make this thing work. And they had about, I think you said earlier, 60 days notice. I mean, you know, when you buy a business or you go take over a business, you go in, you analyze the process, and you go through the books, and they just were running blindfolded and had no idea what they were getting into. And so they were just willing to step in and help us save it. So I just give it up to those guys. It means a lot to me. I do want to say to Pam, I do see that the library is doing well. Your revenue is 1% off of your budget for the whole year. So still a couple months to go. So you're really pumping in that money down there. Thank you, Pam. All right, if there's nothing else for Russ, are we done? All right, we'll move on to item number 8. Consider approval of ordinance number 2019-06 of the City Council of the City of Perry, Oklahoma, amending Chapter 7, Section 7-502 of the Perry Municipal Code 2018 supplement by increasing the amount of use tax from 3 1/4% to 4 1/4%, providing for repealer, savings, codification, severability, date, rate, effective, and declaring an emergency. Okay, we have a use tax here in the city of Perry up to this point of 3 1/4%. And I think we talked about this with the new councilman today. Now that we have approved the tax for the hospital tax, our sales tax rate has gone up to 4 1/4%. So we want to keep our use tax straight in line with what our actual sales tax is. So that's what this is. This ordinance is about, and it will be effective July 1st. Anything else, Bryce?
No, that's all. That's well said.
I make a motion to approve ordinance number 2019-06.
Second.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Bond.
Yes.
Seabolt.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Morrow.
Yes.
Wines.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes.
Motion on emergency.
Second.
Yeah. Roll call, please.
Bond.
Yes.
Seabolt.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Morrow.
Yes.
Wines. Yes. Stroller.
Yes. Thank you. Item number 9, consider approval of ordinance number 2019-07 of the City Council of the City of Perry, Oklahoma, amending Chapter 17, Article 2 of the Perry Municipal Code 2018 supplement entitled Billing and General Provisions by the addition of a new section 17-221 entitling Charge for Damage and Destroy AMI Water Meter Antennas, providing for repealer, savings, codification, severability, and declaring an emergency. Bryce, would you handle this?
Yeah, of course, we're installing all of these water meters and electric meters at no cost to the individual resident, although we did have to borrow money. And so, I mean, ultimately, all the residents will pay for this, but not, not individually. The antenna is very hard to break. It's like a black hockey puck, and it's actually drilled through the metal water meter lid. But if you try, you can break it. And the question is if it does get broken, either the cap gets broken or the antenna gets broken, who should pay for that? And so this ordinance suggests that that we'll put the first one in, at our cost. The second one would come in at the resident's cost. So, and it will happen. So that's what this ordinance is about.
What about failure due to just normal wear and tear?
If the cap's not broken, then it's on us. And of course, they do have, they all have warranties. They're warranted for 10 years, and then it's an amortized warranty for the next 10 years. But that doesn't apply if it's, intentionally or unintentionally destroyed.
Is there and I'm saying this because I saw something on social media, that there was a safety thing that you could get or something inexpensive that would also guard these. Is there any truth to that?
I didn't see that, and I don't know. But we could certainly make, inquiry. You mean it's something that would go over the cap?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know that.
The problem the problem I have is if there's vandalism out there, my fault, your fault, anybody's fault, this comes back on the property owner. And I understand that the city can't pay for it, but there's got to be some way to check it out and have checks and balances on this to where we're not just, you got to be fair about it, in my opinion.
I agree with you. That was going to be my question. How do we determine if there's vandalism and it was broke, or if the property owner broke it? Yeah, someone runs over the meters. I mean, there's meters close to streets,
You've got a lot of people out mowing and things like that, or, hailstorm.
Yeah, I just wonder how difficult it is to damage. I don't know.
Why don't we continue the item, bring one in, we can check into, what you're talking about. I know
Mike, you can smash it with a hammer, we'll see how hard it is.
You get charged for it.
It'll be yours, Bill. No, I mean,
everybody together at my house.
I mean, we ought to have one here. You ought to take a look and see what it is. But why don't we continue it to the next meeting, and we'll check out those that comment that you had. It's either
the information came from AMI, so you can research through them or their people and find out.
Okay.
Could I add to this?
You bet.
Actually, that was one of my questions, and I talked to Vernon before he left, and he said that he had already ordered 50 lids that were actually rebar reinforced and with the antenna underneath the cap. So you could actually run over that lid. It was supposed to be roadworthy. Now, I didn't ask him a cost or, what the options were as far as getting them, but he said he did order 50 of those and that he was going to make another order. So we probably need to talk to the water department and see what those are going to cost.
And put those in locations where they're apt to be run over. I'm sure that's what he's thinking, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, why don't we bring it back?
To replace the lids, they're usually about $45 a piece.
Huh?
And so
To continue with the next meeting.
the process of drilling them, they're charging us about $15 per lid to drill. So it's about 3 times the cost to go back with all new lids, where they actually flush mount underneath the lid instead of setting on top. The total clearance isn't about an inch of total clearance.
My question was, maybe the resident could have the option to go ahead and buy that to upgrade what they already had, and then they wouldn't have to worry about that.
Well, my main worry was vandalism, and I'm not putting on kids, but kids do stuff like that. they come to my house and break it. I mean, it could, Shelley, it could be your house, okay? Them little hoodlums you got. But no, but I mean, they could, I mean, you know, kids do that kind of stuff for fun. And then I got a bill for whatever it is, $150, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't do, I mean, we should do something, but
Yeah.
that was my concern.
I just started checking at my house.
Huh?
But I just had a picture of one, and yeah, they're about yay small.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was wondering about accidentally running over the mower, what would happen to them?
Maybe cheap.
Hopefully you're not scalping your yard.
Well, let us get some more information.
I make a motion, we hold it over till the next meeting.
Second.
Kevin here.
Okay, there's been a motion to hold this over to the next meeting so we can get some better information. Is everybody all right with that? Any more discussion?
Can you bring one of those rebar
Yeah.
thingies?
Who contacts AMI to find out about the veteran protection or the other type of lid?
Maybe if Bernie could bring one.
We will.
You will?
Yeah,
I just didn't know how that
absolutely.
You say we
No, we will.
Okay, any other discussion? All right, roll call, please.
I'm making myself know what I'm supposed to do. Vaughn.
Yes.
Rice will
Seabold.
remind you.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Morrell.
Yes.
Wines.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes. Item number 10, consider voting for 2 trustees for the Oklahoma Municipal Assurance Group. Okay, in your tab, under number 10, there's a list of people that are, have thrown their hat in the ring for this seat. One of the candidates is this guy, CFO Russ Meacham.
Hey,
So,
So you weren't here.
I wasn't here.
I prefer you not to have been here tonight, but darn sure you guys. Meredith, give us your name. But anyway, Russ is, I guess, you accepted nomination for this?
Apparently I did.
Okay. I would prefer that Russ go back on the group myself. I don't know any of the other people. Does any member of the staff know any of these folks? Could you give any recommendations?
I know Gerald.
I know Gerald, I know Beverly McManus, I know Kimberly Meek.
Well, we only needed one, Dixie, okay?
I knew others.
Others? Well, Gerald, I think, was on that video today, was watching, wasn't
I think you may have been.
he? From Manford.
I think,
It was
Stephen
actually,
Mills was on
the
there.
previous.
The previous one.
But Gerald was from Okeen and was a great manager. And that's why he got moved to Manford. Manford came and grabbed him out of Okeen and took him to Manford. Manford's a real going, city too, so.
So we have to have 2 nominations. So if there's someone on that list that you all would like to nominate.
Are we voting as a council? Like, as a council, we're
You
going to
just vote
have
for
2
2
people?
candidates.
Nominate.
Okay, nominating.
Yeah.
We're nominating. Mr. Meacham, is there someone on that list that you work well with? That would make your
I
life
work
easier?
directly with Gerald and with Mark Skiles, so either one of those,
I make a motion for us to nominate Russ and Gerald Hari, is that how you, I don't know, Hari?
Second.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call please.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Seabold.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Morrell.
Yes.
Wines. Stroller.
Yes. Item number 11, consider approval of resolution number 2019-02 adopting community garden projects for the city of Perry, Oklahoma, designating community gardens as a public purpose, authorizing and approving water meter agreement and use of water for the community gardens and participants agreement from all participants. I know very little about this, so Mr.
Well, I wrote it.
I figured that.
I did, I wrote it. Apparently, we have some folks in town interested in setting up community gardens. Normally, they're put on public property. One of them is placed on private property. But it's places where you can go on and you can get your plot, and you know, you can grow vegetables there and the like. By approving this resolution, you're adopting that as a public purpose. You're saying that's a public purpose. And that community gardens are a public purpose because, you know, they bring folks together, and it's about health, and it's about gardening, and also any extra vegetables are supposed to be taken to food shelters and other places where they could be used. So those are the public purposes. And then the agreement is really two things. One, there's a water meter agreement. We're going to give the first 18,000 gallons free. We're going to go set the meter. We're going to give that water free. Thereafter, if it's a private person, that owner's going to have to pay that, you know, pay that rent. And then just so that we don't get sued, there's a little participation agreement where they're going to have to sign and release us and any owner or anything from any liability having to do it. It's probably a whole lot more words or, you know, letters than you would want, but I do think it's a decent package for community gardens, and I think it does it all by approval of the resolution.
This is a project of Noble County Conservation District, and has great support. We've identified two places. One is on 319 Holly, which is actually already started. And the other is the area at J. Dahman Park, at J. Dahman Field, to the north of the ball field, but yet to the south of the parking lot that Ripley Field uses. That's too small to really do anything. That's too small for another base ball field. It's too small even for soccer. So what the Conservation District is wanting to do on that particular property is to use raised gardens. The one on Holly is not raised gardens. So that's the two that we have identified right now. It is definitely a feel-good project. Definitely.
Any discussion?
Well, I hate to say what I'm going to say because I think it's going to sound like I'm not supporting it. We've talked about community gardens since I've been here off and on. I think it's a great project. I mean, I just really don't know if I feel comfortable bringing in the city part of it.
On city property?
Well, not just city property, but if we approve this agreement, if you go through it, I mean, anytime government, city get involved, there's going to be more rules, there's going to be more, you know, I mean, it defines fences and, you know, and you got to have gates, and then you got to have this, and you got to have that, and then we're going to give away 18,000 gallons of water, and I don't think the city, I mean, I feel, that's where I start to feel uncomfortable, because I don't think the city's in a position really, based on things that Russ says and other things, where we are able to do that. But yet I fully support the concept of a community garden. I struggle with, should the city be involved in that, or should we encourage, you know, for lack of a better term, committees and things, people in the community who drive those decisions themselves, really. That's how I feel about it. And people can say, well, what about water and things like that? Well, those are things that those committees, I mean, those people can work that out. I mean, if it was on my private property, I'd charge a nominal fee to cover the cost of that. I mean, there are solutions besides the city putting meters in and the city giving away the water and us having to, I mean, who on the city staff is going to go around and make sure that all the rules are being followed in that community garden? I mean, well, hi Brenda. But I mean,
is she volunteering?
No, she's actually sinking down in her chair. But I mean, the reality is that most of our city staff, and I think Larry would agree, are pretty thin. I mean, we do not have a lot of extra staff to be taking on another project. And I say that with just great hesitation because I'm 100% in favor of community gardens. It's a great concept, it really is. Great concept for people to work together as a community, to grow food for each other, to give it away to people who are not able to, you know, have the food that many of us take for granted. I just question the concept of the city being highly involved in that process.
I also have an issue with the J. Dillman Ballpark area. That place is highly used for baseball practice, and I drive by there a lot going to the farm, and there's always people out there playing and running, and you got the high school field, they park there, and I don't know how you would cordon that off so that people don't get into the raised vegetables and start having tomato fights. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, I just, it's almost like Jay Dahman has been Jay Dahman since I was a kid, and that was a long time ago. But I mean, I know everything. Times progress, and I know we've got the new ball field, and they play baseball out there. But I see a lot of practicing going on out there, and in the high school, I've seen having high school tournaments and people over in that area you're talking about having picnics.
Doing warm-ups too.
Yeah, and so that's where I struggle with the J. Dahman area. But I completely respect everything you say. I think you do have a legitimate concern.
Bill, it's also utilized not only for baseball, youth football does practice on that ground there. So, I mean, it is used quite a bit through the community as far as a practice facility. So,
would they fence that off? I mean, like chain link fence, or just go in there and put up some raised gardens? Or?
That's in the ordinance, yeah.
I know you got something to say. I can see your lips moving.
I'm just wondering if, is there any way to make, I mean, is there any way to give them permission to do so, but still have it, in the language where they're still legally responsible because it's on their land?
I don't know if it's on their land. I guess it would be a use. Would that have to be like a use by review or something, Bryce? I mean, well, I mean, if you have a residential vacant lot, and you go put a garden on there. I mean, there's a lady on 6th Street, 6th and Holly or something, has got a big garden.
In that none of it's commercial, I mean, I don't really see that as violating any zoning. Now, if you turned it into a, floristry or, a commercial garden, well, then it would be operating a commercial garden on a residential property. But this isn't. It's supposed to be a community garden. It's different from a commercial garden. And what you said is there's truth in what you said. And really where you're getting to there is you're not thinking really that this is that this maybe isn't a public purpose that you want to endorse. And that's why, I mean, in order to do it, you got to buy into that this is a public purpose that you want to endorse, And the rest of it is, if you're going to have a community garden, these are the types of rules that you have for community gardens. This is actually community garden light, to tell you the truth. There were community garden places that were much more involved with that. And I thought if we got involved, we ought to at least get a release of liability, So you have to have a reason to give away free water, to set free water meters, and you have to have a reason, and that reason is that it's a public purpose. You're endorsing that public purpose, and you're contracting with somebody to promote that public purpose. Just like we do in economic development, tourism development, that's what it's all about. But
just ask a question. It's not really free, right? I mean, like, even if we're giving it to them, ultimately someone's paying for it. So, I'm kind of in your position. I really love the idea of a garden, community garden, but ultimately, if we say we're going to do it, we're telling everyone else your high utilities are going to be subsidizing that. I mean, is that what we're saying? Basically?
Well, it's free. Well, it's certainly free to everyone except for the owner.
Okay.
Yeah. And the people participating. Right. It's free to them.
Yeah.
18 it's free water tap. It's free. Okay. It's free water up to 18,000 gallons.
But my garden on my yard
is not
free.
That's correct.
So
Well, I mean, that's where you've got to adopt that public purpose. And, you know, we just pitch these things out there. If you don't like it, you should say, don't really like it, you know? I mean, that should be handled by private persons, by groups, and it's better. I'll tell you what, if you don't, they have some good forms here. Those groups ought to come in here and grab these forms, because they're, you know, because they will certainly work for anybody. You just have to change names.
When I was a kid, again, at the corner of 9th and Wakefield, where Mr. Bollinger's house sits now, and Rodney McCall, and Kurt Andrews' house, and kind of, I think Erling Cockrum's house maybe around there. That was a community garden. Carl Ham owned that. And I remember there being 8 or 10 frost-free hydrants out there, and everyone had their little gardens and their tillers out there. And I mean, it's a great idea. Every Saturday you'd see everybody out there gardening. You could drive by there in the evening and they'd be gardening, you know. I think it's a great idea. But I voiced my concern.
How much is 18,000 gallons of water?
Dixie, you figured that, did you?
Cost-wise, is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Cost on 18,000 gallons of water would be $9, $10.
It'd be more than that.
Yeah, it'd be.
No, it'd be more than that. It's $3.50.
No, he's
or
asking
so.
cost. What's it going to
Oh,
cost
cost.
us
I'm sorry,
to
cost.
deliver that water?
It's different, but
Yeah.
overcharge, you're right.
Does it have to be used for personal use? The fruit or vegetables or whatever they grow?
Well, it
I
is.
mean, can they
It's-
use it for
Can't wash their.
Saturdays sales out here or whatever to people in the public to sell the vegetables? or
Yes, like a roadside stand or
Yeah.
something, what you're saying.
You know, I suppose that would be up to the person. I mean, you know, we can't hardly regulate that far.
I didn't know that was allowed.
They're growing it. It would be hard to police that.
I hate to throw this
You got a guy
at
that can do that,
but
Brian?
Can you get us more information
You got a
on
guy
this
that can do
too?
that?
Well, I think you know.
I hate to strap you clear down, but I mean.
No. I think the issue. I think you guys have discussed this. You know, the issue is whether you think it's a public purpose or not, and whether you want, you know, whether you want public dollars to go, you know, to setting meters and paying for free water or not, because this will work. The way it's set up to work. I mean, I think that we've addressed, you know, I think we've addressed a lot of the issues. I think the question is we just have some thoughts that maybe we can't do everything, right?
Well, my understanding is they don't sell. It's my understanding that these are donated back to Associated Charities or whatever, the food kitchen, the food bank, whatever these things are that we're trying to get going, the food pantry here in Perry. Not going outside the community, but inside the community for people in need.
Yeah, it can be. Excess can go there, but it all depends on the intent of the person that goes in and grows whatever the crop is on their plot. Because in that area, each person's gonna have a plot. Sometimes they're identified by markers, and you know that is theirs to take care of, to harvest, and to do with what they want.
I think it's a whole new bag of worms that we're gonna be going, Brian, what'd you do with them vegetables? You know? I mean, how do you govern that, you know? And I don't want the city to be in that business, you know?
I don't wanna regulate it, but I wanna support it, as in, yay, good idea.
I think we say, if someone wants to open a food plot on this piece of property, go get it. And we'll set you a meter, but it's not gonna be free, the water's not gonna be free. You know, you're gonna pay whatever the water fees are, just like anyone else would, you know?
I don't know, I see that side, but I also see the side that, you know, if we're going to allow them that water and it's going to be for public use, I see it being educational. I see it being for some people that they just don't have the land to do that. I see it for garden clubs. I see it for, I see it for groups, you know, it could be the kind of opportunity that we don't offer here in Perry anymore.
And one of the requirements for a TSAT grant is that you have a wellness project of which the community gardens that satisfies that as well. So that would help us in that endeavor as well.
I think we need some feel-good projects. And we're missing some of those. I think that's some of the things that we just don't have. And some of those things, I mean, if it's 18,000 gallons and if we don't have to regulate it, I mean, I think we do need to understand what would be required of us, but that could be a small thing to throw in to try to get some people together out doing stuff for their community. And I mean, I don't know about the plot of land because I'm with you. I think that we use that land a lot for different, I mean, it may not be actually part of the baseball field or that, but sometimes you have to put kids everywhere when you're up there trying to get, you know, 2nd through 6th grade football or different baseball programs. But if it doesn't require a whole lot of regulations or some of us out there babysitting it and knowing where they actually put the vegetables or stuff, I mean, I think that's part of what we're missing. We don't have enough of those small projects to keep people united and working together in our community.
So why don't we just say you can do this on this lot? We won't restrict you. Just, you know, we give you permission to do that. But here, we'll set your water meter. I mean, they pay for the water just like everyone else does. Is that what you're saying?
But how are they gonna police that between all the users?
That's the landowners.
I'd rather the landowners have that than the city. I don't think the city's
You
ever.
know what I'm saying? You got one
gonna
tap and you charge, like, if you wanna do it, we charge you $20 to have your,
Yeah.
I mean, that's cheap.
Yeah.
You know, if you wanna plant a garden, $20 worth of water, I mean, I don't know.
The thing I did like about the free water is, like, trust me, I don't like just, well, here, I'm just gonna give you whatever. You know, I don't like that idea. But the thing I did like about that idea in this case, that was kind of an incentive to get people to get it started.
That's exactly what it's supposed to be. And like Jamie says, we need feel-good projects in this community. And there's a vast need for something like that in this community.
But once they use that water up, the 18,000 gallons,
I think they should.
then they're gonna start paying.
They're gonna
start paying anyway.
Right, and then they'll be responsible for keeping that alive. I mean.
But that's part of the commitment of both groups.
If we can do that and not having, I mean, just, we'll give you this, not give you, but I mean, it's your plot of land and you do what you want with it, till it up if you want to, we won't restrict that. And there's your meter, and if we have to give them 18,000 gallons of water, that's fine, but after that, they're gonna pay for it, just like I pay for water at my house. So they can do with their vegetables what they wanna do with their vegetables. as far
And
as I'm
Bryce
concerned.
said that, it's in writing. I mean,
I just think the free part of it will help with the incentive as far as getting it started. And then they'll be responsible for keeping it alive if it's a project that actually takes off and involves a lot of people.
I just continue to come back to Exhibit A, water meter agreement. Okay? There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rules. Including all participants must sign a participation agreement. Customer may not discriminate on the basis of race, color, gender. Customer will be totally responsible between the hours of 7 p.m. until 8 a.m. So, do we want to be involved in that? Do we want Brenda out there? Do we want the code enforcer out there? See, that's where I'm struggling.
That's what I said, let's just give them a meter and they can
Well, I don't have
figure
any
it
problem
out.
with the meter. I mean, give them a meter, sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, let them figure it out, let them sort it out.
And if they want to, and
I don't
they,
know whose
like
property it
Bryce
is.
said, I mean, as a group, as private citizens, get some good, strong groups out there, and looks like there's a lot of things that they can do to help set that up, and they support it in that way. That's
If we were involved, if we're involved and we're giving free water, I want to make sure that, you know, the participation agreement, no liability does. The discrimination, you better not be discriminating, but
Absolutely.
that's a Muslim. They don't get in our community garden, that better not be happening, right? The watering is a watering rule, you try not to water in the midday, but, I suppose that could take out, the next one is well-maintained appearance. We don't want it to be, we're doing a lot about code and all of that. The next provision is pretty much the same thing. We don't want it to be, unruly. The next provision is about the same thing. The next provision, those are all about well maintained. The last part is the gown, and they have, how much is free, and then when they have to pay. So if we are involved, you want to set at least some rules. If we're given a free meter or given free water, we have to make sure the public purpose is met and that there's no discrimination, I spent a lot of time on this, which,
Thank you.
which, yeah, I don't know,
But
but
then somebody uses the water for something besides watering the garden, and
Go wash their car.
yeah, or wash, exactly. We now have car wash out of the public garden.
Well,
There's just
if
a
the
lot,
gar-
besides the tomato fight that Bill's gonna have.
I mean, if it's run by private citizens and it becomes a weedy mess, that's why we have code enforcers, who would be treated just like any other,
And who's gonna be responsible? I mean, that code enforcer goes out there and says, that place looks like.
well, whoever owns the land, I
Yeah.
assume.
It
That's
has
the
to be a landowner, and
That's-
that landowner
and
has to enforce
If
it.
their community garden people aren't doing their job, then he's gonna have to close it down or
Yeah.
establish his own or his or her own rules about that.
If they're willing to let it happen on their land, they should be willing to have to own it.
I have a hard time thinking Brenda's gonna have time to go out there and do that.
oh, yeah, we're probably not gonna do that. We're probably gonna do the water meter agreement. We're gonna rely on them to,
Police it themselves.
police themselves.
So if somebody's
Now,
washing-
I'll tell you, the TSEC grants are as much as 20 grand.
We qualify for 50.
We do, because I didn't know that. That's another public purpose, and that's
So-
the fact that this is something that would, if that does qualify for the TSEC grant, it's a little bit of public dollars for the possibility of, something much bigger.
Well, then if we go a year and the whole project collapses, we go get our meter?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely, yeah, that's exactly correct.
And if somebody's washing their car, we will know about it.
At least we allow the community another opportunity to bring something else to the table. It's just one more thing that's here.
Didn't you mention that there was only 2 pieces of land right now that they were considering? One was private property and one was the public place. That doesn't sound like any
One's
of us.
already started on private, that really got away from us real fast, because it was talk one day and all of a sudden somebody was out there doing stuff. I mean, give me a chance to work on things and all of a sudden, boom, it was already there. So, the J. Dominant deal, that's just a particular, that was a suggestion, but it hasn't started or anything, and it won't, with what I'm hearing. But we can find another place.
So-
Or Noble County Conservation can find another place.
So would this be 2 meters, originally what you were thinking?
Just one. This one, if we don't do the J. Dummer.
No, if we did J-Dom, it would be 2 meters and 18,000 twice.
Right. But we can do this one, see how it goes.
I'm ready to make a motion on that and let you guys fight it out over that, but that we approve a resolution 2019-02 adopting community garden on the, do you have the legal address of this, Larry?
13th, is it 13th and Holly or
Yeah,
something?
it would just be approval of this resolution. You can do up to
Well-
3 gardens, and the manager is the one that's gonna designate it.
Okay, fine.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Yeah, you adopt this.
Because I'm ready to get involved in trying to help the community and have feel-good situations.
We have a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? Last call. Roll call, please.
Bond.
Yes.
Seabolt.
No.
Ahern,
No.
White,
Yes.
Morrell,
Yes.
Wines. Yes. 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 Stroller.
Yes. You will? Huh? Yeah, it passed.
Brian, thank you for bringing up good points, because you brought up things that I hadn't thought about.
Absolutely.
Item 12, consider canvass of proposal for provisions of real estate brokerage services for sale and/or residential, commercial, or industrial development of real property located in the Perry Commercial Park, Perry Industrial Park, and/or Perry South Commercial Park. Select best proposal, direct and appropriate contract is prepared and brought back to the next meeting. Larry, you want to discuss this?
Yes. You have this, you should have the spreadsheet. Based upon the responses and the criteria mentioned, you see we have 3 responses: Platinum, United Country Land Run, Warner and Associates. Based upon the criteria points, you'll see at the top, there were some initial requirements. Did they meet those? Then the proposal evaluation based upon the criteria that was scored. Down below, you'll see additional information that was not required but was included. You'll see Platinum received 80 points, United Country Land Run 75, and Warner Associates 58. And you'll see towards the top with the check marks what was included and what was not. I know that these are all companies that have local representation, and I know that Betty's in the audience here, and thank you for coming tonight, Betty. Platinum scored the highest, Warner Associates the lowest. However, I think when you look at what you really want to do, which is try to market and sell this property, I think that United Country Land Run has a bigger scope than the other 2. I'll throw that out there and let y'all go from there.
What exactly are we deciding here? I'm sorry.
We have been talking about engaging a real estate firm to help sell our properties that we own, 128 acres right across from the Sooners Corner.
Okay.
We have some industrial property. We put out for bid 102 5th Street. We got no bids back. So we have to add that. That was not in your packet.
Okay.
That's happened since we started this. So it's that, with the understanding that we bought that property for economic development and not just to buy it, turn around and sell it.
If any of y'all have been out on I-35 and come from the north, there's a big sign out there that says real estate property at Perry. I think it says 156 acres,
Yeah.
something like that. That sign has been up there for 4 years.
That one's been a year and a half.
Really? I thought we had a 3-year contract with her.
No.
That was just a 1 year? Okay, I
1 year
apologize.
contract.
Okay,
And
so
she
it's been up there about a year and a half
graciously
now.
allowed
And she hasn't taken it down because she hasn't got another sign to put up there, so she's just left it. Last time we checked at renewal time, we hadn't received 1 phone call.
Not
one.
Not one.
That was, how much was that?
No, she gave us a break on the price.
300 and something a month, wasn't it? I was thinking it was like $365 a month or $3 something a month.
I
think it
But
was,
anyway.
or that might have been the full price, and she gave us a little bit less than that, but that was in that neighborhood.
But anyway, so we all thought, we gotta advertise that way. And that brought us nothing.
Kevin, we just want out of the real estate business. We don't need to be in it.
With the right project.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, what you get, you,
Go ahead, Bryce, what?
well, you just get our property on a listing agreement, you know, I mean, and, you know, people pull up Perry, Noble County, that pictures of that property will be there, and that's how people do their business. I mean, they don't come to our website and check, they go to real estate and check, and since it's multi-real estate, it will be up everywhere. And that is the real advantage here. Because I would say that in most instances, the intent of a realtor is to sell real property or to sell the building and with the real property, where our intent is to sell the real property and put something there, you know, and those are different things. We're not interested necessarily, at least at this point, in selling real property if you're not going to put a meter there. You know, we want a meter.
And we have done that 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, well, no, we have, but we sold that property for considerably more than what we had in it. You know, I mean.
Well, I mean, 3S.
Yeah, 3S, we sold that for 5 times what we bought it for.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is they haven't built anything there.
Yeah, we sold that at a time when the oil and gas was hot and heavy, and these guys bought it as a contractor's yard, and yet, you know, then when it fell off. So, I mean, that did happen. And we sold 15 acres in exchange for that road that runs through the industrial park, which didn't cost us anything, which was good. So I'm not saying that we made bad deals, but we've been waiting for people to come and ask, and then we go show them what we have. We've never had anything on listing. We've never had it out there. So that is a real advantage. Now, how it actually translates from there, I mean, I'm sure that they will come in and say, hey, we've got somebody. Well, what do they want? Well, and this is what it's mostly going to be out there. Well, they want to buy 5 acres to put a house on. Because everybody wants to buy 5 acres out in the country, right? I mean, everybody. And if you can find a property owner that'll sell that to you, that'll be great, you know? And so that's probably what you're going to get. But it would be great if you had somebody come. I've got this guy that owns this truck stop and is wanting to come out there. That may happen, may not happen. But at least we'll go from billboards to listing our property. There'll be pictures of it, and it'll be out there on the internet in the place where people go if they want to buy property. I mean, that's certainly the advantage of doing this. I'm sorry. No, I think I interrupted you. Didn't I interrupt?
No, Betty was wanting to say
something.
something.
Betty did, I'm sorry.
I would like to know.
Would Betty, would you stand up and come up here, please?
I would just like to know, how come they rated me the lowest when I have sold commercial real estate in Stillwater, and I would just like to know how your voting went.
There were some things in the bid document that you did not do. Identification of potential problems, you didn't mention that.
Unless I know what
Deviations.
property, they did not put what property I was selling. And until I know what property I'm selling, I will not know what problems I would have. I have already brought to you,
Well,
I don't know how many companies. I brought to you A.J. Hilton, and I gave it to the city manager, and I brought in a couple other companies. And whenever I brought it in, because I could not make money on it, I gave it to the city manager, and it never went anywhere. I've already done this.
Also, was a business relationship affidavit, that was not in there. Non-collusion affidavit was not in there.
Well, there's no collusion.
And the other two were.
There's no collusion.
They had their form.
It said if there was a collusion, I had to put a form in. I have no collusion with the city. I'm not on the city. And I would expect that my rates were probably cheaper than anybody.
4% plus 2% if you co-broker.
No, 2% across the board, and if somebody else comes in, like another real estate agent, then it's 4%. So mine was 2%.
I'm not a real estate person, so I don't know, okay? And I can see some complications. But is there a problem with it being listed with a piece of property being listed with more than one real estate person?
No, not really. It kind of
You just have to
complicates
communicate,
things.
you'd have to communicate.
No, you don't communicate. It's complicated because personally, I would have to go out of town to sell those property because that's a big property. That's going to have to go to like a company, like a, oh, I don't know, maybe a big station of some kind, or a big, someplace that would maybe want to put in a storage thing like Walmart or Target or something. They want to move out of here. We got a great location. We got a great location to put something in, and they can manufacture it here or send it here, and they can move it anywhere in the country. You know, because we got highways going every which way. So you're not going to be just sending it, putting it on. For one thing, a realtor cannot sell commercial property. Let me think of it. I can sell commercial property, but I don't sell it through my, generally, I have to sell it through another deal. I have to sell it like through Loupon or something like that, because commercial property is marketed a different way than houses. My listing for houses would go on Realtor.com. My properties that would go for commercial will go on Realtor.com in my area, Stillwater area. That's where it would stay. It won't go any farther out than that. To market it, I'd have to market it out of Stillwater. And I'd have to go to a different company to market it.
Your bid document here says 4% commission in-house, if co-broke, an additional 2%. So that's where I got this.
Well, that was wrong. I don't know why that was like that. I had somebody else type it. Maybe that's what they did. But it was 2%.
Anyway, I didn't make this up. I just want you to know.
But it was 2% and 4% if somebody else brought in a buyer. That's what it was.
Bryce?
Yes.
And I'm not saying, Betty, that's what you were saying, but on the south part down there, don't we have a no-compete clause with OnQ?
Yes.
We can't put a station, we can't sell it to a station, correct?
We can't sell to a business which sells petroleum products and products at retail. Both, yes.
And I know that, but I'm just saying it's
No, I
got to
just
be a
said you
bigger
didn't,
company.
not really,
than-
yeah, I'm not, I meant, I know you weren't just exactly
Yeah.
saying that, but I wanted to make sure the rest of the council knew that was true.
Yeah, and with respect to, and I don't want to repeat the name, but with respect to what Betty said, giving us leads, you know, we've worked her lead for a while, and it probably would have occurred if we had a better sales price for the property, and then we could get back some of what you're saying that we're lacking in. So that particular property needs to get a sales price which will allow a developer to come in and buy it, because there's going to have to be some substantial money. So that did help, and I have him in my phone, and we talk. So yeah, that was very helpful.
And you're not going to be just putting it online and selling it anyway. You're going to have to go to like a big company, or you're going to have to go out and find those people. You can't just,
They're just not gonna show up in Perry and say they wanna
No,
buy land, is what you're
they're not
saying.
gonna do that. I just think you need somebody with experience that can sell this kind of property. Anyway.
Thank you, Betty.
Well, I'm not 100% certain, and Larry, maybe you can help me. But I'm assuming that there was some people, for lack of a better term, a committee or something, that somebody obviously went through this criteria that was created. And, am I right? I mean, there's...
Yeah, that was me.
Okay. So, you're probably feeling the pressure of, you know, because anytime that we have criteria, we all know that you can be objective and that there's some subjective, and there's always going to be that confusion. So I guess my concern would be, or maybe my hope would be, that all of that wouldn't fall just on the city manager to make those decisions. I am not for committees and things like that, but at the same time, I would rather a group of people go through the criteria, identify the scores, which can be very subjective, bring those scores to the council, and the council makes the decision. And we have to trust those decisions, because, I mean, I can sit here right now and say that Platinum scored an 80, and I could say, I mean, I would be comfortable saying, well, then we should choose Platinum, but if Larry, you're the only one involved in that, then that probably isn't fair to everybody, because you're going to be subjective in a different way than I would be, and that's why you have to have a few people that kind of, I don't know, remove some of that bias a little bit. And then we as a council don't have to decide and say, well, Betty, you can hear when people, and it's always going to be that way, but when people fill out, you know, applications and things like that, there's always subjectivity. She's like, well, I don't need to do a non-disclosure, you know, because, or a non-collusion, I'm sorry, non-collusion. But yet the others did. So as a group of people, let's say there's 2 or 3 or 4 people, then those people can make those decisions without it just being all in one. And I don't think we should make I don't know if I feel comfortable making the decision based on Larry. Not that you didn't make a good decision, I'm just saying in terms of like, there's subjectivity involved in that, and we've got to balance it with a few other people to make the final decision. I mean, that's how I feel about it.
I might add one other thing. When I submitted my packet, I submitted one for everybody. So you should have all got one.
We have it in our...
It's
What I
copies.
put in?
Yeah, all 3 of them are in here. But what I'm trying to say is, I don't really personally necessarily want to go through all of those and make those decisions based on that. I'm relying on more than someone to go through that packet and to bring it to us. Because otherwise, we have 9 people or we don't have 9 anymore. we have a lot of people that are looking at something that all I'm looking at is the number. That's all I'm looking at.
Yeah.
I didn't go through Betty's and decide, well, she didn't do a non-collusion. I'm trusting that she didn't do a non-collusion. And Larry, I know that I'm not saying you didn't do a good job, but I'm just saying that if I'm going to make a very important decision for the city, I think it shouldn't all fall on the city manager to make those subjective kinds of decisions. It should be based on some other people, not 9 people on the council.
Who would those people be, and how many do you want?
I have no idea to either one. I would say the fewer...
I think it has to be 3.
I'd say the fewer the people, the better. But I mean, to me, it's like a job interview. If anybody's ever hired anybody, the worst thing is that I hire them by myself. Help me balance it out a little bit with some other people. Not 10 people, because you'll never come to agreement. But a couple people, 3 people, who independently evaluate this criteria and bring it to the table. They negotiate out and say, this is the score, let's present it to the council. The council can now make the final decision. I don't know who the people are, I don't have those kinds of answers, but surely we can find 2 or 3 people that would be willing to look at the criteria.
Now, I don't think that this is something that we have to settle tonight, because we've been working on this project for years. We've done it every wrong way so far. It's not produced very much. So, what would be your suggestions, council?
Table it until a committee can be put together, and
Was that a motion?
I'll make a motion to table it until a committee can be put together and bring another spreadsheet back to us and help us, assist us in making this decision.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, roll call please.
Bond.
Yes.
Sebo.
Yes.
Ahern.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Morrow.
Yes.
Wines.
Yes.
Stroller.
Yes. Item number 13. No, it's just everybody's chat, so I'm gonna let you get their chat out of the way. Sorry, Your Honor. No,
There you go.
I'm at ease. Let me get that gavel out.
I want to see you bang it.
Item number 13, consider payment of $40,500 to Southwest Valuation Services in accordance with the contract for the preparation and delivery of 27 appraisal reports. We contracted this company to go out and do appraisals on 27 different properties around the Perry Lake for the dam project. Huh? It says 27 here.
We have 27 in-house reports that
Okay.
we've got, but there's one more.
There's one more. So, that being said then, we have 28 properties that we were doing evaluations on, okay? Valuations. This is where the water will back up onto their property. It is not saying that water will be there at all times. You know, there's probably gonna be some water that will be on some of their property at all times. It means we're gonna raise the spillway level. But some of it will just be like during big rains and then the water will recede. So this being said, the question I have for management is this paying for 27 of them? Or are we gonna wait till we get to the 28?
This is 27, don't know when I'll get to 28. This gentleman's been working for at least a month now, so I think it's time that we pay for at least 27.
And those are all down there, the 27?
Yes, sir. Bryce has got
Yeah, I
it.
actually have them in my car. I didn't bring them in.
No,
here,
I don't
but
need you to go get them.
But you saw the one the last time. Now there are two books that are that big.
110
filled.
pages each.
Yes.
Each.
I would make a motion to go ahead and approve that invoice for those 27 that have been completed.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, roll call please.
Bond.
Yes.
Sebo. Yes. Ahern.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Morrow.
Yes.
Wines. Yes. Stroller.
Yes. Item 14, any new business that needs to become before the council tonight? Okay, I would like to, I don't know if we talked about new business today to the new council. Did we discuss that today?
No.
Okay, would you explain what new business
Yeah.
is so they understand?
Yeah, new business is.
I'm at Russ.
New business is items that you could not have foreseen to have put on the agenda prior to the time the agenda went out, which is really Friday at 5. I mean, because if it's not on we can amend the agenda up to Friday at 5 when the end of business. But if it comes after that time, like we find out over the weekend something, we can actually take action on that under new business without it being on the agenda. Okay? And it needs to be done, because there was no way that we could have done it, and business must go on. So that doesn't even have to be on the agenda. But if you knew about it prior to that time, and it's not actually new, and new is Friday at 5 if our meeting is on Monday, you can't bring it up under new business, because it's not proper new business, and it's not proper to talk about it. It's not just something, oh, by the way, this happened. You know, I want to let you know that. That's not new business. And I think we've all been, you know, and I've been guilty of, you know, of not calling it, you know, and I'm going to call it stricter. Bill told me I am. Gordon told me I'm not. But it's important. It's important.
The OML.
No, it's important to call it. So that's really what it is. If it couldn't have been put on the agenda, we can absolutely talk about it. Otherwise, we can't. So, you only should talk about those things.
I went to the OML training that we talked to you all about 10 years ago, and that's the only piece of information I've retained today.
Right.
That it's a violation to speak about new business if it's not new business.
Any questions? Everybody
Do you have
got
like an
it?
example? What would be something that would happen that?
Yeah, we've had it happen.
We had a water main break on Sunday night, and we needed to do something about it.
And it's over his spending limit.
It's over
and
Larry's
we
spending
had
limit.
we had to go do it. Or, you know, you also have emergencies when you can do stuff, but stuff does come up under the, you know, over the weekend or the day before.
Especially in our situation where we're on a Monday meeting and the agenda has to be posted on Friday.
I'll tell you where
where
it's come up. It's come up on airport grants, where the FAA got you the document and you've got to approve it, and you did not have it on the Friday before. But if you didn't approve it, you didn't get the grant. Okay. You can, and there was no way you could have put it on the agenda, but you better get it down to Fort Worth. That kind of item could be even voted on, even though it's not on the agenda.
All right. Moving on.
I'm getting right.
Item number 15, consider convening into executive session for the purpose of discussion of the appraisal of interest in real property at or near Perry Lake pursuant to 25 OS 307B3 of the Oklahoma statutes, and to discuss the appointment of Sherry D. Board as municipal judge of the city of Perry pursuant to Title 25, Section 307B1 of the state of Oklahoma.
Motion to go into executive session.
Thank you.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Seabold.
Yes.
Cantor.
Yes.
White.
Yes.
Wall.
Yes.
Lyons. Yes. Stroller.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
You're on time. You missed
I
that.
know, I had to go find it.
Oh.
I told Larry, you better have your drawer back over here. My next meeting. All right. Motion to reconvene.
Motion to reconvene.
Second?
Roll call, please.
Bond?
Yes.
Seabolt?
Yes.
Ahern?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Wines?
Yes.
Stroller?
Yes. Item 17, take any action deemed necessary pursuant to executive session, including but not limited to the directing action of the respect to make fair market value offers to the landowners and consider both reappointment of the municipal judge, Sherry DeBoard, consider approval of the employment agreement with the municipal judge, Sherry DeBoard.
I'd like to make a motion, based on our feedback, that Sherry's doing an awesome job for this community, to reappoint her to another 2-year term.
Second.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Bond?
Yes.
Seabolt?
Yes.
Ahern?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Wines?
Yes.
Stroller?
Yes.
I'll make a second motion that we approve the employment agreement with the municipal judge, Sherry DeBoard.
Second. Roll call, please.
Bond?
Yes.
Seabolt?
Yes.
Ahern?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Wines?
Yes.
Stroller?
Yes. Item 18,
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
roll call, please.
Bond?
Yes.
Seabolt?
Yes.
Ahern?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Moore?
Yes.
Wines?
Yes.
Stroller?
Yes.